You ever hear a suitcase whisper? It's not loud. It doesn't shout. But the sound of a zipper closing, especially when it's done with the smug efficiency of someone who thinks they've pulled off the heist of the century, has a kind of finality to it. Like a door sealing on a space shuttle, leaving you weightless and alone in the vacuum of what used to be. She was packing when I came home early that Thursday. I still remember the scent of lime shampoo trailing behind her as she clicked around the bedroom, stuffing tank tops and optimism into her carry-on like guilt didn't exist. The kid was in the living room, knees crossed, headphones on, glued to his Switch, because why traumatize your son the old-fashioned way when you can outsource the distraction to Nintendo? Going somewhere? I asked. Her hand froze mid-panty fold. Don't worry, I won't describe them. This ain't that kind of story. Babe, she said, in that rehearsed tone women use when they're about to say something they know should come with a helmet. I'm going on that trip I told you about. The girls' getaway. Just some sun and wine and soul-searching. Which girls? I asked, already knowing. She blinked. That half-second stall? It was all I needed. Because I checked. And the girls in question were all within a 5-mile radius, busy tagging themselves at local wine bars and Pilates classes. Meanwhile, my wife was headed for a beachfront Airbnb with a man who called himself Jay, but whose actual name was Jeremy, and whose LinkedIn profile helpfully confirmed he worked in luxury consulting translation. He knew just enough about champagne and manipulation to be dangerous. I didn't stop her. I watched her wheel that navy blue Samsonite down the driveway and into the Uber like she was heading to war, but I was the one preparing for battle. My son, Matthew, looked up as the car drove off. Where's Mom going? I sat down beside him, leaned back, and told the truth. Vacation. But not the kind we come back from. He tilted his head, 11 years old and already smarter than I'd ever been at that age. You're not mad. I smiled. Nope. I'm just cleaning house. He nodded, like he got it. Maybe he did. And while she was sipping Chardonnay somewhere near an ocean, I was changing the locks, boxing up her spa robes and betrayal, and giving the guest bedroom a fresh coat of Get Out. The best part? When she came back, tan and smug and wrapped in a sundress that probably smelled like his cologne, her bags were waiting on the porch. Not inside. On the porch. And taped to the handle of her suitcase, neatly, was a note. Just one line. You left as someone else's. You can stay that way. You ever walk into a courtroom and know, just know, you're about to win? It's a strange feeling, especially when the person sitting on the other side used to share your Netflix account and last name. But there I was, suited up like it was prom night, watching her shuffle in behind her high-priced lawyer in stilettos that clicked like a countdown to irrelevance. She didn't look at me. That was her new thing, acting like I was invisible unless she needed something. Kind of like how she used to act with the garbage, until it piled up. My lawyer, Craig, was calm. Guy had the kind of voice you trust with your mortgage and your secrets. And best of all, he loved two things, facts and vengeance. Legally, of course. We didn't come into court swinging. No grand speeches. No yelling. Just receipts. Literal ones. Hotel bookings. Flight confirmations. Venmo transactions for Sunset Boat Tour Sunrise, sent to Jeremy the man bun. I even printed the Uber ride home from the airport, where she texted me, be there soon, love you face blowing kiss, while he was still zipping up. Her attorney tried to counter with character defenses. Your Honor, he said with that polished baritone they all practice in the mirror, my client gave her life to this family. She deserves half, if not more. The judge looked at him like he'd just asked for a back rub. Deserves, she said, adjusting her glasses. Is this a morality case or a financial one? Because I deal in numbers, not nostalgia. Beautiful. See, I didn't have to ruin her in court. She did it to herself. She was asking for full custody of Matthew, spousal support, and half the house. What she got was alternate weekends and a court order to attend parenting therapy. No alimony. No equity. No sympathy. She cried after the ruling. Not weeping, not sobbing, just those silent, stunned tears that roll down your cheek when the mirror finally tells you the truth. Outside the courthouse, she chased after me, heels wobbling like justice had flattened her arches. You planned this, she hissed. You knew exactly what to do. I turned. Calm. No gloating. Just facts. I gave you the rope. You tied the knot. She stared at me like she didn't recognize the man standing in front of her. Which was fair. Because she didn't. That man was gone. There's something oddly peaceful about a quiet house at dinner time. No passive-aggressive clinking of forks. No forced small talk about how work went. No phones flipped face down, buzzing like secrets. Just me, a lasagna from the freezer aisle, and my son across the table, chewing like the world hadn't imploded. Do I have to see her every weekend? Matthew asked, voice low, like the question might collapse the ceiling. Every other, I said. But if you ever feel uncomfortable, we'll talk about it. He nodded, then asked the kind of thing only kids can get away with. Why did she do it? I didn't answer right away. Not because I didn't know, but because I wasn't sure how much truth a kid should carry. So I gave him the version with seatbelts. Some people love the feeling of love more than they love the person. And when that feeling fades, they start shopping for new ones. Doesn't mean it was your fault. Doesn't mean it was mine. Just means she made a choice. He processed it like he was updating the operating system in his head. But she picked the wrong person, he said finally. I smiled. That part's not ours to fix. The first weekend he went to her place, I packed his overnight bag with the basics: clothes, toothbrush, a copy of Calvin and Hobbes, Our Shared Religion, and just for fun, I slipped in a tiny note folded like origami. If you miss me, just open this and roll your eyes like a preteen. When he came back Sunday night, he handed me a folded piece of paper. Found it, he said. Used it twice. I laughed. Real laughter. The kind I hadn't heard in months from myself. The days grew quieter. The space between me and bitterness got wider. She'd text occasionally. Can we talk? Are you really going to keep treating me like a criminal? Matt says you're cold. I didn't reply to most. Not out of cruelty. Just efficiency. When you take out the trash, you don't track it to the landfill to make sure it decomposed politely. Besides, I was learning how to smile again, without effort. It's a weird stage of healing when you realize that peace isn't loud. It's just the absence of noise that never belonged. There's a special kind of audacity in asking for vacation time with your new boyfriend while you're still technically married to the man raising your child. It came in an email. Subject: summer schedule. Body: hey, just checking if you can keep Matt the week of July 10th. Jeremy and I are heading to Tulum. We'll bring him back something fun, smiling face with smiling eyes. I stared at it for a solid 2 minutes. Not in disbelief. Oh no, we were way past disbelief by now, but in sheer admiration for the confidence it takes to abandon your son for a getaway with the guy you blew up your marriage for, and sign off with a smiley face. I forwarded the email to my lawyer. Subject line: is this a real life or a deleted scene from a sitcom? She replied 3 hours later. Perfect. Let her rack up these. Judges love patterns. So I agreed to it. Of course I did, but not out of kindness. This was strategy. You see, courts care about patterns, about responsibility, about which parent shows up, literally and figuratively. Every time she handed me more custody so she could go sip mango cocktails in a fedora next to a man with a chest tattoo that said "Fearless," she was giving me another brick in my case. And so I smiled. Sure. I wrote back. Happy to have him. No emoji. Matt didn't ask many questions when I picked him up that Sunday night. Just slumped into the passenger seat with that big duffel bag she always overpacked. You hungry? I asked, glancing at him. He shrugged. Can we do pancakes? It was 8:17 p.m., but when a kid asks for pancakes on a Sunday night after his mother ditches him for a man who wears toe rings, you make the pancakes. We ate in silence for a bit, him working through a short stack, me sipping from a mug that said, "World's okayest dad." A gift from him, ironically. Did you have fun? I asked eventually. He took a beat before answering. She was on her phone a lot. I nodded. Didn't press. Let him lead. She posted a picture of the guy's back, with one of those dumb quotes. He mimicked the voice. Some souls were never meant to be caged. Then he rolled his eyes so hard I thought they might fall out. I nearly choked on my coffee. She make you post one too? I asked. He grinned. Nope. I told her I was fasting from social media. Smart kid. My kid. He stayed with me that week. We built a Lego Death Star we'd been putting off. Watched old movies. Had serious debates about whether Indiana Jones or Han Solo was the cooler Harrison Ford. Hint, it's Indy. Always Indy. And while we lived, she vacationed. She posted pictures, of course. That's what she does. She's one of those people who can't just be happy. They have to announce it, curate it, filter it, hashtag it. Hashtag Tulum vibes. Hashtag new beginnings. Hashtag grateful heart. You know, all the things you say when you're trying to convince strangers you're not a villain in your own story. But what got me wasn't the photos. It was the comment section. Because there he was, Jeremy, with a comment that said, "You're radiant. Can't wait for our chapter to begin." Our, as in, plural. That's when I realized she wasn't just playing vacation roulette anymore. She was making plans, long-term ones. And here's the thing about that. When someone makes long-term plans with a person they betrayed you for, it usually means paperwork isn't far behind. Sure enough, 2 weeks later, I got an email from her lawyer. She was ready to formally mediate the remainder of the divorce proceedings. Translation: Jeremy wants in, and he doesn't want to live with the ghost of your past still legally married to his girlfriend. I smiled. Let's dance. At mediation, she wore white. I don't know why that stuck with me. Maybe it was the irony. Or the delusion. Jeremy came too. Sat in the corner like a bouncer who just learned what a 401k is. She was polite. Eager. Even. I really want this to go smoothly, she said, clasping her hands together like she was wishing for peace on earth. I leaned back in my chair. Define smooth. We just want things to be fair, she said. And I nearly laughed. Because Fair left the building the day she left her son to go play adult prom in a resort town. My lawyer opened the file. We're happy to finalize, she said, adjusting her glasses. Provided our custody agreement remains unchanged and Mr. Carson is seeking full legal custody with visitation rights granted at his discretion. My ex's face froze, like her Zoom had lagged in real life. Full custody? She repeated. I shrugged. You took 6 vacations in 9 months, Melissa. One of them during his science fair. Her lawyer looked like he wanted to disappear into the carpet. We didn't raise voices. Didn't cry. Just signed. And just like that, it was over. Officially. On the drive home, I played some Springsteen. Not for the symbolism, just because Bruce sounds better when you're free. Matt was in the back seat, humming along. Hey, Dad, he said. Yeah, but can we go to Tulum sometime? I grinned. Only if we wear matching tank tops that say fearless. He groaned. Please no. I laughed. Long and hard. And for the first time in what felt like years, it wasn't bitter. It started with a voicemail. Hey. I know I'm the last person you want to hear from, but can we talk? Just for 5 minutes. Click. No. I'm sorry. No explanation. Just that desperate little hook people use when they think you might still care enough to bite. I didn't. But I'm not cruel. I called her back. Not because I owed her anything, but because I wanted to hear the tone. Regret? Guilt? Panic? I wanted to know which stage of the grieving her own decisions tour she was currently on. She picked up on the first ring. Logan, she said, like the name had gotten heavier since she last used it. Melissa, I replied. Silence. Then, I miss our life. There it was. Not I miss you. Not, I'm sorry I dismantled our family for a man who thinks crypto investor is a personality. Just our life. I miss the way things felt easy, she added, voice soft like she was trying to land a plane on an apology. Easy, I repeated. You mean dependable? Predictable. The way dish soap always magically refilled. The way the Wi-Fi always worked. The way someone else handled the bills and the nightmares and the flu season panic attacks. She didn't answer right away. I made a mistake, she said eventually. No, I corrected. You made a series. This isn't a typo in an email. This is a trilogy with sequels. I didn't mean to hurt you. You just didn't mean to get caught. Silence again. Then a shaky breath. I wanted more, she said. I thought I needed something exciting. Something alive. I nodded, even though she couldn't see me. I get it, I said. You wanted fireworks. What you forgot is they burn out fast and leave smoke. That's when she broke. Not all at once, but in that slow, contained way people unravel when they realize the parachute they packed was made of paper. It's over, she said, almost whispering. With Jeremy? Yeah. How long? 2 months ago. So she'd waited. Let the wound scab over before crawling back. Smart. Cowardly, but smart. I thought he was different, she continued. But he wanted a version of me that only exists on vacation. I laughed. Not cruelly. Just honestly. Melissa, I said, you left a life for a long weekend. And when Monday came, you acted surprised. She asked if we could meet. Said she wanted to apologize in person. Said she wanted to make things right, whatever that meant in her mind. So I agreed. Not because I wanted closure. I'd already built that myself, with drywall and dignity. But because I knew this was part of the arc. The apology parade. It always comes after the affair circus and before that I made a huge mistake fireworks show. We met at a coffee shop downtown. Neutral ground. No memories there. Just overpriced cappuccinos and tiny spoons that make you question your masculinity. She looked different. Not older. Not worse. Just less. Like the shine she used to borrow from our life didn't follow her out the door. Thanks for meeting me, she said, sitting across from me with a latte and shaky hands. Sure, I said, sipping black coffee. No sugar, no cream, just like my mood. She tried small talk. I let her. Then she pulled out a letter. I wrote some things down, she said. I thought maybe it would help. I didn't take it. Melissa, I said, you don't owe me poetry. You owe our son consistency. Her eyes watered, but no tears fell. Not yet. I was selfish, she said. I see that now. You were always there. And I treated you like furniture. I raised an eyebrow. Comfortable, quiet, easy to ignore. She winced. Yes. Then she tried the big one. Do you think someday we could be friends? That word, friends. People say it like it's a gift. A consolation prize wrapped in delusion. Like a burglar asking to come back for dinner once they've finished looting your home. No, I said plainly. We're not friends. Friends don't do what you did. She nodded slowly, like she expected it, but hoped for a loophole. What about Matt? She asked. He barely talks to me. Because he saw everything. But I never. Doesn't matter. He was there. He lived it. You don't need to explain what a storm feels like to someone who stood in the rain. Her lip quivered. Finally, a tear fell. Then another. I'm trying, Logan. I leaned forward. Calm. Steady. Then keep trying. But not for me. For him. She wiped her cheek, mascara smearing just a bit. I still love you, you know. I sighed. You love the version of me who didn't leave. But he's gone. You left him behind with the spare keys and the garage door opener. The letter stayed on the table between us. I still didn't take it. When I stood to leave, she looked up at me with eyes that used to know everything about me. Will I ever be forgiven? She asked. I thought about it, then said, forgiveness is a gift. Trust is a loan. And you defaulted. Then I walked out. Didn't look back. Because there's no sense rewinding a story you already survived. There's no easy way to explain to a kid why the person who gave them life keeps choosing to miss it. You can dress it up with metaphors, wrap it in compassion, or pin it on circumstances. But eventually, they see it for what it is. A pattern, not an accident. And patterns don't lie. It started subtly with Matt. Less laughter after weekend drop-offs. Shorter sentences. That distant stare kids get when they're trying to act older than they should have to. One Sunday night, I picked him up from Melissa's place. He climbed into the car without a word, plopped his backpack on the floor, and just stared straight ahead. Hey, bud, I said. He didn't answer. We drove 5 minutes in silence before I asked, you hungry? He shrugged. That shrug? That was my warning sign. Because Matt was a talker, a thinker, a kid who'd once asked me, mid-breakfast, if ants believe in heaven. And now, I'd have more luck getting a sentence out of a garden gnome. I waited until we got home, made grilled cheese, his favorite, golden brown, a little burnt at the corners the way he weirdly liked it. Still nothing. He picked at it, ate half, then stood up. I'm gonna go do homework, he muttered. But instead of heading to his room, he paused by the fridge. Just long enough for me to catch it. The way his lips pressed tight, the way his hand curled at his side. She said it's my fault, he said suddenly. That I changed after the divorce. That I don't talk to her the same. I froze. What? He turned, eyes glossy but not falling apart. Not yet. She said if I don't start being fair, she's gonna stop trying. That she can't keep putting in all this effort for nothing. I set down my plate. Slowly. Carefully. Like I was disarming a bomb. She told you that? I asked. He nodded. She said you probably put stuff in my head. That part hit harder than I expected. I've never been a perfect man, but I kept my mouth clean when it came to her. Always told Matt the truth, but the edited version. Never let my anger become his. Now she was trying to make him doubt that. I stood and walked to him. You didn't do anything wrong, I said. And if anyone told you otherwise, they were wrong. He blinked hard. She says I always take your side. This isn't sides, buddy. This isn't a game. This is your life. You're allowed to feel things. You're allowed to protect your own peace. He looked at the floor. I just want her to be normal again. I didn't have an answer for that. Because normal was long gone. In its place was a woman trying to win a son back with guilt and manipulated tears. The next day, I called my lawyer. I asked about revisiting the custody arrangement. I didn't want to go back to court, but I would. For him. Instead, she suggested something smarter. Get him into counseling, she said. It'll help in 2 ways. First, it gives him tools to sort through this. Second, It gives you documentation if she starts playing dirty. So we did. Matt was hesitant at first. Thought therapy was for people who cry too much. I told him therapy was like armor for the brain. You go into battle every day, you better protect your soft spots. That seemed to land. A month in, the counselor, Dr. Rice, kind eyes, patient smile, asked to speak with me alone. He's carrying resentment, she said. Not just toward his mom, but toward himself. He thinks he wasn't enough to keep her around. I felt that in my ribcage. He's a kid, I said. He shouldn't have to carry that. Exactly. That's why you need to help him put it down. So I did. We talked more. Took long walks. Built puzzles while talking about feelings because, for boys, sometimes emotions need to hide under a layer of cardboard and edge pieces. One night, mid-puzzle, he asked, "Do you think she loved me before?" I stopped mid-snap of a corner piece. "Yes," I said. "Absolutely. She just forgot how to show it. And then she got so far away from that love, she thought it stopped existing. But it didn't? No. It's still in there. It's just buried under a mountain of her own choices." He thought about that. "Is that why I get mad sometimes? Like, randomly?" "Yeah," I said. "That's the mountain trying to land on you. You gotta push it off. Every time." We kept building, piece by piece. Sometimes healing looks like progress. Sometimes it just looks like survival with better posture. By spring, Melissa started calling more. She wanted to have a conversation with Matt, just the two of them. He didn't say no, but he didn't jump at it, either. "Do I have to?" he asked. I shook my head. "You don't have to do anything that feels wrong. But if you want to talk to her, I'll be right here when you get back." He nodded. That night, they talked for half an hour. Then he came back and went straight to his room. I knocked 5 minutes later. "You okay?" He was lying on his bed, staring at the ceiling. "She said she's sorry," he said. "But then she also said you manipulated me." I sat on the edge of the bed. "She can't separate guilt from accountability," I said. "What's that mean?" "It means she feels bad, but she still wants to blame someone else for it. Usually me. Sometimes you." He let out a long breath. I told her to stop trying to fix it by blaming everyone. I smiled. "Proud of you." Then he rolled over, buried his face in the pillow, and mumbled, "I'm just tired of being the broken part in both of your stories." That broke me a little. So I sat there. Didn't speak. Just stayed. Until his breathing softened. Because sometimes the best parenting isn't advice, it's presence. That's what kids inherit in the end. Not our fights. Not our bitterness. But our consistency. It didn't happen all at once. There was no dramatic music. No confetti falling from the ceiling. Just a series of small wins that quietly rebuilt the man she broke. Like the first night, I slept a full 8 hours without checking my phone. Or when Matt laughed, really laughed, at one of my terrible dad jokes, the kind that used to earn only an eye roll. Or when I came home to a house that felt mine. Not empty. Not echoing. Just quiet in the way peace is quiet. I painted the walls. Changed the kitchen backsplash. Donated everything that had his and hers written all over it. Burned a few scented candles she loved, pinewood and manipulation, I think the scent was called. Matt helped. We turned Saturdays into project days. Built a bookshelf. Fixed the broken fence. Rewired a lamp and nearly shocked ourselves into orbit. We were two guys figuring it out. Healing through motion. Then came the garage. That's where I found her old keepsake box. Letters. Photos. That stupid playlist she made called Us in a Bottle. I sat down with it. Let the memories wash over me like waves that didn't crash, just pulled. Then I stood up. Walked it straight to the fire pit in the backyard. Matt was watching from the window. I didn't say anything. I just lit the match. It had been 8 months since the divorce was finalized when the wedding invitation arrived. Not from Melissa. From Jeremy. The envelope was thick, expensive, pretentious. Wax seal and all. Inside, in gold calligraphy, were the words, "Join us for the celebration of love and new beginnings." They were getting married. She was making it official with the guy she threw a grenade into her marriage for. I stared at it, honestly unsure whether to laugh, cry, or frame it in the bathroom. Matt was on the couch when I held it up. "You going?" he asked, smirking. "Only if they're serving crow." I tossed it in the trash, but not before texting a photo of it to Craig, my lawyer. Me, do I get a refund if the punchline writes itself? Craig, no, but I'd pay to watch. Later that week, Melissa called. "Jeremy wants Matt in the wedding," she said, like she was asking if he wanted fries with that. I paused. "No." "What? Why?" Because he's not a prop. He's your son, not a page in your redemption arc. Her voice tightened. It's important to us. And it's important to him not to be dragged into the sequel of your mistake. She hung up. Matt never brought it up. Some scars don't ask for closure. They just learn how to harden. 6 weeks after the wedding, I got the text. From a number I didn't recognize, but the tone was unmistakable. He's not who I thought he was. Ah, there it is. The bonus scene. The moment the fantasy unravels and the real-life version of Prince Charming forgets to pick up the dry cleaning. More text followed. I should have stayed. You were stable, safe, kind. Do you ever think about us? I didn't answer. Not right away. I let it sit. Let her wonder. 3 days later, I replied, no. She didn't text again. Because some truths don't require a mic drop. Just a period. You want to know what revenge looks like? It's not shouting in a parking lot. It's not slashing tires or burning wedding photos. Real revenge is quieter, smarter, long game. It's raising a son who knows his worth. It's building a life so full of peace that chaos no longer feels like home. It's thriving, without needing an audience. Melissa lost everything in court, custody, credibility, the illusion of innocence. And now, she was married to a man who couldn't hold a candle to the one she left, waking up next to a choice that looked better in the brochure. Me? I was drinking good coffee in a house I redesigned, planning summer trips with Matt, teaching him how to change a tire and spot red flags before they become regrets. People say revenge is best served cold. But I disagree. I say revenge is best served with patience. A steady hand, a quiet laugh, a front porch where the sun hits just right. And if you're lucky, a son who one day looks you in the eye and says, "Thanks, Dad, for staying solid." That's the win. That's the real ending. And if she ever passes by this house again, maybe hoping to catch a glimpse of what she threw away, she'll see it. All of it. And that's enough.